Welcome back, YouTube. Today we are going to do part 2 of the mini skid steer auger attachment crate build. Today is April 6th on a Sunday, and so if you haven't seen part 1, I recommend going back and watching that so you can see where we left off. So first thing we're going to do is we have our pallet and our cradle at the bottom, and so we're going to take measurements, and we're basically just going to be building 4 walls, kind of like a house, and then we'll have an opening where the auger attachments will fit underneath. And then we'll end up putting joist hangers on the top, and they'll be recessed down a little bit, and that's where the actual auger unit will sit on top then. So let's get started. So our one measurement is at 39 inches, inside measurement, and our other one is at 45. Should be the same, 45 that way, and then 39 inches that way. So on this end, this is where our pallet forks will be stored when we're not using them. So then that means the opposite end will actually be the opening for the auger bits. So let's get all these 2x4s cut, and then we'll start assembling. So just to give you a quick glimpse of, this is the top and bottom plate of the 45-inch side. So what we have is we have our boards that are going to be on each end, and then the way these slats laid out, it was 8.5 inches center to center all the way through. So we just kept it consistent so the wall studs line up with the slats. So every 8.5 inches we'll have a stud, and that'll line up with these slats down here. So just wanted to give you a close-up on what that looks like. As far as the height of the walls, we're going to go with 46 inches. So that'll basically make it a total of 48 inches that is sitting on top of this pallet. So we'll get those cut as well, and then we'll start assembling these walls. But I want to give you a close-up on that layout and what that's going to look like. So we have all the top and bottom plates marked out, so now we need to start assembling them. So get yourself a clean surface to work on. I'm going to put in some nails that are a little bit shorter because when I secure this wall down to this cradle, I don't want it to go all the way through and it hit the pallet, then have issues of bringing it back up when I got to change it out. So we'll do the same thing again. We're going to repeat this process 3 more times. Now this last wall is going to have just a stud at each end, because then there will be an opening for the bits. Now we'll swap those nails out to the shorter ones again. Now we're just going to tack it down for right now, just in case we got to move the wall around a little bit to make these other 2 ends fit. Forgot to swap out back to the longer nails, so we'll hit that again real quick. Back to the short nails again. Try to remember to swap them out this time. I'm actually going to put a few more nails in because I was running those short ones. We had one nail pop through, so we'll just take a Dremel or something and zip that off. So we got one more wall to build, and then we got to secure it down to the pallet. Had a couple nails go through, so we'll have to cut those off before we secure it down. Back to long nails. Alright, we're going to go grab the Dremel and zip off the nails that came through. There's a few of them. Just visually inspecting to see if they got any other nails popping through. Looks okay. Next we want to get this positioned on this pallet the way it's going to sit. We'll get it squared up and then secure it down. Alright, got the crate secured to the pallet. And get it turned around here so you can see the opening. So what we need to do is create a little wall here. And what that'll do is when we set the bits in there, it won't be as easy for them to come back out when we're traveling. So we're probably going to do like a little 8-inch wall. That'll bring it up to about right there. And then we're going to have our total opening is 46, so that leaves us with about 38 inches left. And then we're going to be putting some joist hangers down here, so that'll be recessed a little bit too, because the auger unit will sit up on top. So we might have like a 30 inch opening. Basically right there. So the 4 bits that I'm getting is a 24 inch, an 18 inch, a 12 inch, and an 8 inch. So the goal is to get all of those in that little pocket. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put eyelets right here on each side, a couple of them, and then we can put strapping across just so traveling there's no chance of them falling back out. Same with up here. We're going to have eyelets up on top so we can strap down the auger drive unit. And then on this other side, we're going to have eyelets here, and that way, like I said, when we're not using the pallet forks, we can keep them shoved in and then strap them on the other end, so it's a contained unit when we're just using like the bucket. So let's build that little short wall next, and then we'll assemble that. We'll build a little short wall here too, and then we'll put in our joist hangers to put that little recessed platform for the drive unit. So let me get some stuff cut and then we'll assemble. So we're laying out these top and bottom plates for these small walls for the front opening. So a little trick is use a square. This square is 1.5 inches wide, which is the same as a 2x4. So just put it on the end, mark both ways, and then this will give you a line that you can put your 2x4 against. Same with the other end. Usually just throw an X just to show where the 2x4 goes. We have 2 more 2x4s going to go into this space. So what I like to do is measure how much space we got. So it was a 29-inch piece. So we're subtracting 3 inches for our 2 ends. And then we're going to be putting 2 more 2x4s in there. So that is going to reduce our spaces down to 23 inches. and we're going to have 3 different spaces. So we'll divide 23 by 3, which roughly comes out to 7 2/3 of an inch, so 7 5/8. So that's what we'll do. We'll measure from the ends here and measure 7 5/8. And what that is that's that window of space. Then there will be a 2x4. So what you do is just mark an X on the next to the right of that line, just so you know where to mark when we start laying it out with the square. Do the same thing on the other end, 7 5/8. The X will go to the left this time, so mark an X there. And then just line it up with that line. Strike a line on both sides of that square. X, X. Same with this side. Line on both sides. X, X. My square is not quite long enough, so I gotta go from the other way, but quick trick. And then if we measure the center part, it's going to be close to 7 5/8. And we're about 7 9/16. So close enough for what we're doing, but that's just a quick trick to lay out your studs. So we're going to do the same thing on the other wall. Now what you can do is, now that you have this laid out, these other top and bottom plate are the same length, so we can use this as a pattern now. So we'll just lay that up against there, line up both ends, come from this way, strike a line, line it up with that, line on both sides, and the other end, flip your square around, strike a line, X, 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 X. And we'll do this last one. Nice to have the lines, just because if you have a twisted board, you can shoot a nail in, line it up on the one end, and then put some pressure on there and tweak it back to the line so your stud is straight. Now that we got those laid out, we'll start building these walls. So we're making these walls 8 inches tall. So we subtracted 3 inches for our top and bottom plate, which would make our vertical pieces 5 inches. So we got this bottom wall in here. So we'll get that secured. We're going to use the longer nails for this. So we just want to make it even with the other wall. Shoot a couple nails in there, secure it. I think we'll get some clamps for this. that's all secured. So now we're going to put in our joist hangers, and this will hold the auger drive unit. Thinking about putting some boards at a 45-degree angle on 3 of the sides just to stiffen up the shear strength of it. So we may be adding that as well. But it's pretty secure as it is. Alright, so I'm inside this crate. We're going to put these, they're 2x4 joist hangers, and we're going to put them at the same elevation as the bottom of this top little wall that we created on the opening. So we'll get a measurement how far down. So we're at 9.5. I probably would have grabbed a level as a straight edge and made a couple marks and went across all of them, but I'm already in this box, so we're just going to mark them individually. We're just using 1.25" lath screws. Now before I get too carried away, I'm going to cut a 2x4 and see how it fits in there. Fits in there nice. So we will continue on. So I just realized that they gave me 6 2x6 joist hangers and 2 2x4 joist hangers. So I'm going to stick with the 2x6 joist hangers and just get some 2x6s that we can put here for this platform. It'll be a little better as far as sturdiness. Last thing I want to do on this video, since I don't have the 2x6s, I'll do a follow-up video once I get the auger bits and auger drive unit. I'll finish assembling and then show a video of what it looks like in the end and how the pallet forks fit in there and strap down. But what I would like to do is put some eye bolts on here that'll give us some points that we can put strapping on when we're putting it on the trailer and hauling it. So we'll start with that. So we're using 3/8 eye bolts here. So we've laid out our front eye bolt locations. This is a 30-inch tall opening, so we've gone 10 inches down and 10 inches up to kind of spread the difference. So we'll get these 4 drilled, and then we also have one here and one there, same with the opposite sides, and then we're drilling into this stud down low about a foot up from this bottom 2x4, and that's what we'll use to strap the pallet forks when they're not in use and we're traveling with them. So let's get these drilled out and then we'll put our eye bolts in. Alright, so this is almost the final product. Again, I bought 2x6 joist hangers, 6 of them, and 2 of them were 2x4s. So So we're going to change to 2x6s that will hold the auger drive unit instead of the 2x4s. So I'll have to run back to the store and get those, but we're going to finish this video up. Next time you'll see this, it should have the drive unit and the auger bits, hopefully. But overall, it turned out pretty well. There's the eyelets for holding the bits in place. Those eyelets are for the auger drive unit, and then we have 2 eyelets down low that'll come and strap around the pallet forks when we're not using them and we're traveling. On our next video, we're going to talk about shipping. What information Derette gives you, what information you should ask for, some of the different apps that you can use to track the ship as it goes across the ocean. But until then, gear up and we'll see you next time.